good evening. I'd like to call the regular council meeting of Cobourg Municipal Council Monday, January 9th, 2017 to order. And if you could join me in just a moment of reflection. Thank you. Mr. Davey, or in this case, Councillor Darling, do any additions to the agenda?
Yes, Deputy Mayor. This evening we have MP Lou Rinaldi here to present his greetings and updates on behalf of the province. And there's also a letter received from Brian Hollett, Cobourg resident, regarding the Urban Forestry Master Plan. The request for proposal will be presented at the meeting. And the action recommended is that these items be added to the agenda.
Seconder, Councillor Rowden. Discussion. All in favor? Carried. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interests at this point from any members of council? Hearing none, I'd like to proceed to the adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting. Mr. Davey?
Yes, Deputy Mayor. We have the next item is the adoption of the regular council meeting minutes of December 12th, 2016, and the special council meeting minutes of January 3rd, 2017.
Thank you. Seconder? Recommendation first. Thank you.
Yes, Deputy
Councillor
Mayor.
Darling.
The action that council adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting held on December 12th, 2016, and a special council meeting held on January 3rd, 2017.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Rowden. Discussion. All those in favor? Carried. I'd like to move to our presentation, and again, Lou Rinaldi is certainly common and a very known individual at this council for a number of years. So Lou, please come to the diocese, and again, welcome and a happy new year to you and your family. And I know that you are certainly bringing greetings on behalf of the province of Ontario.
Well,
So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy, and thank you for such a short notice to accommodate hopefully a brief dialogue with you and council. And I was worried at the beginning that you might ask me to fill one of the chairs to have quorum, but I'm relieved. I'm certainly relieved. Anyways, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and all that good stuff on behalf of the province and myself, of course. And this is my yearly ritual. I know last year I was a bit late, and this year we thought we'd get started off the bat. And I think in the next couple of weeks I have a pretty full agenda of trying to meet with council. And Deputy Mayor, my point is I handed out some information, but that probably most of you already are aware of, so there's nothing new, but also to talk a little bit about, the future, tomorrow, I guess, or this year. So on the information that I gave you, I'll just highlight a couple of things that pertain to the town of Cobourg, and of course that's the funding that the municipality qualified for 2017 of the $93,500. The completion of the uploads of the court security and the prisoner transportation to a benefit that the province is picking up of $61,700. You'll see a bunch of other county initiatives that I won't bore you with. I think a couple of the important things that are important to every municipality is the OSIF funding, Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, that the town this year will receive $306,000 as the direct transfer from a formula based. And that will work up to over $1.3 million by 2019. And that's be permanent funding on an ongoing basis every year. And also there's an opportunity to again apply for specific projects that which the town was successful to a tune of $675,000 in the last couple of years. I would say that OSIF funding, as you probably are aware, it's going from $100 million a year to $300 million a year, and out of that fund, $200 million will be distributed to municipality under $100,000 as it is now, on a formula base, which is a bit convoluted. I'm not here to explain it, but certainly your staff would know or will be able to. And that $100 million is still available for a special project that you can apply for. So we're working up to that. I believe for 2016, 17, 18, that number to the municipalities, a total of province, will be around close to $200 million. So that I think that's important information that it will help the municipality with planning. And you know that money that is transferred to the municipality on the formula based, it's money that you don't have to spend that year. You can accumulate it up to 5 years. So if you got a major project coming down the road, you certainly help your budget towards that piece. I mean, it's aimed around infrastructure, but with very little strings attached to let the municipality best decide what the needs are. I would say that there's been some substantial investment from the province around the healthcare piece, just with some recent funding for Northumberland Hills Hospital, with an additional close to $1 million in additional funding, and that's on the operating budget. It's not a one-time, and then there was a $600,000 one-time to help them with the increased level of services. Excuse me. The other piece that I would bring to your attention is the gas tax, and that's municipality with public transit would benefit from that, and Coburg benefited to some 188,000, just over $188,000 for 2016-17. There's a chart with some funding that Coburg was successful in the last few years. The other thing that I would highlight specifically to Coburg, some investments in new schools that either additions or new built, which I think has been very, very positive for Coburg. And not to mention, last but not least, the amount of work that's going on in the 401. And that just helps when it's all complete, which we believe will be next year. Certainly easier access and exit to the 401, which I think will be good for business and tourism and all those good things. So certainly in the right direction. Deputy Mayor, I would stop there, and obviously I would welcome any. Oh, I was going to just mention some of the upcoming things that certainly the province is working on. I'm still the parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Municipal Affairs, and some of the things that we've been embarking on this year is the four-plan planning review, the Oak Ridges Moraine, the Greenbelt, and great places to grow, and the Niagara Escarpment, and that's going to come to fruition sometimes later on this spring. And the intent at the end of the exercise, one of the things that I would, although we're still playing with numbers as far as intensification, we hope to have those things nailed down, but it went through a second round of consultation. We're still not there. But for example, things like the Greenbelt, obviously there'll be some expansion of the Greenbelt. We're in the areas where there's already some sensitive publicly owned lands, like water courses and those type of things that will be incorporated in the Greenbelt. They'll be there for protected for hopefully forever. As you know, the Municipal Act, once again, it's in the final stages, and the Municipal Election Act it's complete with some new opportunities for municipalities to take advantage of, but that's a decision that's and some new regulatory regime around fundraising and reporting and how the money could be spent. So the goal for 2011, of course, a couple of things are really important. We committed to 100,000 new child care spaces, and they're going to start rolling out this spring. And I'm hopeful that this Northumberland County will be a benefactor, and that will be driven through the county. They're the delivery folks. The other piece that I think that it's certainly been a topic in 2016, energy costs in the province of Ontario. As you know, started January 1st. The PST portion of the HST, 8%, will be removed from the bills, our hydro bills. Some industries of smaller capacity, which frankly are mostly what's in rural Ontario, will benefit for the special program the province has for special rate, which it's also been, I know that your mayor has been a strong advocate, that something that happens. So that piece is in place starting January 1st. And as the Premier committed a couple of months ago that where the job is not done on trying to achieve some more opportunities to reduce energy costs, and I'm referring specifically to hydro. So that's a work in progress, and it's also, you know, the cap and trade launched January 1st, just a couple of weeks ago. And I think as the new year rolled in, I can tell you that 90% of the Canadians are now under some type of measures to control the environment, whether it's cap and trade or a carbon tax. And as you know, the federal government came across just recently, a few weeks ago, really stating that giving the province a marching order to meet certain deadlines, and if they don't do it, the federal government will step in and do it for us. So I think we're in Ontario, we're in a good position to achieve some of those goals. There were some challenges, but with the cap and trade system that we have in place, every dollar, every penny generated from carbon pricing will be turned back in to help in many ways industry get greener, will help households. You'll later on this year you'll see programs to help households improve do upgrades to their property, whether it's a more efficient gas furnace, whether it's new windows, new doors, more insulation, whatever the piece may be. You're going to be seeing some of that rolling out soon. I mean, it's anticipated cap and trade over the next 4 years will bring in close to $8 billion, about $1.9 billion a year, and that money will be all reinvested to make sure that we lower our to meet our targets for reduction of pollution. So I am going to stop there, as I said a minute ago. But so those are some of the priorities for 2017.
Well, thank you, Lou. Are there any questions, members of council? Councilor Rudd?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just one thing I wanted to mention, Lou. After this is my 25th year going into politics this year, local politics, and the times that you've been in provincial, you've certainly helped the municipalities in the county of Northumberland in a lot of ways. So, as a person that's been involved in politics that long, I certainly appreciate what you've done, and I know that the rest of our council likely does as well. The one thing that I wanted to ask you tonight was on this new system that we have to do for accessibility for our bus lines, and I'm wondering if there's going to be some money available, or will that come through our gas tax, or is there any way that we can apply for that?
So that's a good question. I know both Port Hope and some folks around here have mentioned that to me, that and there's a substantial investment for each bus. I've had a discussion with the Minister of Transport, an informal discussion, and this was just before Christmas, by the way. When I found out, frankly, I didn't know that was the case, to be fair. And I know the minister undertook that he certainly was going to look into it. And I just said it makes a lot of sense where we have huge diversity in large urban centers where, those things have to happen. But in smaller community, one, I'm not sure how needed it is. Number one, and that's just on a personal. But also the cost inflicted that, if you got 2 or 3 buses, by the time you pay for that, you can get another bus. So he undertook to look into it. I haven't had the opportunity to follow up with him, but hopefully within the next month or so, I will follow up.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from members of council? Councilor Darling?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, Lou, I agree with Forrest. We do appreciate everything you do for the municipality. I know you work hard for all the municipalities. And my question is along the same lines with transit. We love the fact that you do give us $188,000 this year. But the problem is that it brings in about $250,000 from revenue. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, approximately $800,000 to run it. So the town taxpayers are subsidizing approximately $400,000 to $450,000 to run our transit system. In my way of thinking, it'd be a lot nicer if that subsidy was 50-50 between the province and the town. And I just wondered if maybe in future you could take a bigger look at that.
I would hope that you get federal gas tax too to go towards that, right? So you probably would get something. I mean, we need to be honest with ourselves, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I've never attempted to do that. The reality is there's not a public transit system in North America probably, but at least in Canada, that's self-supporting. So that's a reality, a decision we make of the type of service we want to provide our communities. For example, I don't have the numbers, but for example, GO, which is a provincially, run, administered through Metrolinx, it's costing us as taxpayers a fortune. It's certainly not self-supporting. Unfortunately, I don't have those numbers, but last time I heard them, it just made whatever hair I left stand up. So I hear you. It's a challenge. Hence we're getting a lot of pressure, for example, for municipalities that don't have transit, and they don't get any of the gas money. Where federally they do. So, but we've stuck to our guns in the last probably, I think it was 2004 or 5 that the province initiated that to make sure to help. And also we relaxed because initially that provincial money was only to buy new buses. So that changed a few years back, saying that no sense buying a new bus if you can't afford the diesel to put in it or the tires to put on it. So that's been relaxed. I would say in the transportation piece, I think we made, especially for West Northumberland, some huge commitments as a province with the expansion of GO that we're committed now to come further east. I mean, we're still going to be a few years away. I mean, there's land acquisition because the new route it's going to go over the 401 and run through populated areas of Oshawa and Whitby and so forth. So there's a lot of land already purchased, to be fair, but because frankly in the south 401 it's all industrial, but we want a transit system that goes where people are. So that's being worked on as we speak. And I think, I can tell you, I remember some 11, 12 years ago when I first elected, I approached Metrolinx about buses. Frankly, they didn't even know where Northumberland was. We weren't even in the radar. We didn't exist. So now we do exist. And my, I think, crystal balling, I think as we get closer to implementing the goal further east, I think my next role is to start the wheels rolling, pardon the pun, that we should at least have buses coming this far. I've had those discussions already. Nothing formal, but I know your mayor, the mayor of Port Hope, and some other mayors have joined forces, and I'll be working right with them to at least have GO in the west end of the riding. I know it was a long answer to your question. I didn't give you any more money, but...
Yeah, so, well, it never hurts to ask.
No,
no,
absolutely.
I get the question a lot from municipal taxpayers,
yes.
And I don't always have the answer. So now you've given me a little more information to work with.
And
Thank you.
And there's only one taxpayer.
Exactly.
And Lou, if I may, I just have one question to your chart that you handed out. It's a wonderful chart with accolades and money, which is very important. But the last item said the Municipal Infrastructure Investment Initiative. Can you just share a few more details on that? Because I know it's something the province is working with all municipalities in Ontario on, but I was not personally aware of this particular initiative.
Okay, that initiative, if I'm not mistaken, it was some money to get in place an asset management plan, which you really going to use heavily as you move forward to apply for, grants or reporting to the province. So the province contributed. It might have cost more than that, but which I'm sure it did. But I think Minister Shirelli was the Minister of Infrastructure at that time. This going back, I believe, 2010, 2011, that some money was given to each municipality, at least the rural municipalities, to have an asset management plan in place.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions of Lou? Hearing none, I can only, on behalf of Mayor Brockenier and councillors who are not here and our own council, thank you as always, because I know that you do this on an annual basis. To me, it's always a good news story for you to share the story of how both Town of Cobourg and Northumberland County benefit. So thank you very much for taking time out of tonight, especially on a miserable night, to be here. Councillor Darling, can I ask you just for an action based on Mr. Lou Rinaldi's presentation?
The action be that we accept Mr. Rinaldi's report for information purposes.
Seconder? Councillor McCarthy? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
Tonight, just for protocol, Councillor Darling will be taking on all components of general government services. So based on that, Councillor Darling, if we could start with you.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, we have Committee of the Whole meeting notes, and the action recommended that we receive the notes of the Committee of the Whole held on January 3rd, 2017 for information purposes.
Seconder? Councillor Robb, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. And for protocol, again, Councillor Darling will also be handling planning and development services.
Under Parks and Rec, we have received a letter from Brian Halat, Cobourg resident, regarding the urban forestry master plan request for proposal. And the action recommended here is that Council receive the letter for information purposes.
Seconder? Councillor Rowden, discussion? Councillor Rowden?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, and I just wondering, with the letter that we did get from him, is there any consideration to look at this and get a report back from our coordinator, or is it something that it's already been discussed at the last meeting, our Committee of the Whole, I know, but I'm wondering if there's any thing that would warrant any further discussion on our professional staff that looks after our town trees.
Well, right now, I know we have, can you make a comment at this time, Ms. Bain or Councillor Darling, on this question to Councillor Rowden?
We have a motion coming forward. If this is the appropriate time, we can do it now, or we could discuss it when the motion comes forward later.
I would rather discuss it later when the motion comes forward on the floor at that time.
All right, thank you.
So at this point, we have our seconder. We had a discussion. We'll hold that later on. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on.
Under Planning and Development Services, notice of the hearing of the Committee of Adjustment and memo from the Planner 1, file number B-04-16, 86 Monroe Street, Cobourg. And the action recommended for this item is that Council endorse the comments of the planning staff and receive the memo and notice of hearing for information purposes.
Seconder? Councilor McCarthy. Before we move to discussion, Mr. McGlashan, would you like to share any words with us at this time?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Just by way of brief explanation, the application going before the Committee of Adjustment tomorrow afternoon by EHCS Inc. Relates to a mortgage transaction that's occurring on part of a larger land holding. Specifically, the eastern half of the properties known as 82 and 86 Monroe Street are subject to a site plan approval application for a total of 66 dwelling units on the site. The applicant has received funding approval from the County of Northumberland for 31 affordable apartment housing units, and these apartment units are being constructed on the eastern half of the subject property. And in accordance with the funding approval, the funds, the mortgage, must be registered on only that east half. So the applicant does require a consent from the Committee of Adjustment to register a mortgage on a part of a property. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from members of council to Mr. McGlashan? Hearing none. Any other? Councilor McCarthy, you're okay? Otherwise, then I'll call all those in favor. Carried. We are now moving to motions in our agenda, and again, General Government Services once again will be handled by Councillor Darling.
Deputy Mayor, the first motion is a motion from the Committee of the Whole in support of an expression of interest for development of a residential hospice in West Northumberland as proposed by the Central East Lynn and at the request of Community Care Northumberland.
And Councillor Darling?
Yes, Deputy Mayor. Motion moved by myself, second by Councillor McCarthy. Whereas the Committee of the Whole has considered a letter from Trish Baird, Community Care Northumberland, requesting support from Council for the West Northumberland Hospice Initiative. Now therefore be it resolved that Council support the submission of an expression of interest for development of a residential hospice in West Northumberland as proposed by the Central East Local Health Integration Network, and offer active participation along with other local stakeholders in support of the expression of interest as requested by Community Care Northumberland.
Any points of discussion? The one I'd like to make clear in case it was missed last week, this is just an expression of interest at this point. We're not being asked for any financial support that we're aware of at this point in time. With that noted, are there any parts of discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? All those against? Carried. Mr. Davey, we're on to number 2.
The second motion is from the Committee of the Whole regarding development charges.
Councillor Darling?
Yes, this motion moved by myself, again seconded by Councillor McCarthy. Whereas the Committee of the Whole has considered a memo from the Chief Administrative Officer regarding an amended development charges bylaw for the town of Cobourg. Now therefore be it resolved that Council adopt the development charges background study dated November 3rd, 2016, with attached addendum dated December 20th, 2016, prepared by Watson and Associate Economists Limited, as attached to the staff report, and authorize preparation of a development charges bylaw for presentation to Council on January 3rd, 2017 to be effective as of that date, and further that Council direct staff to meet with representatives of the development community to review comments provided at Council at the December 12, 2016 Public Development Charges Review meeting of Council, and further that Council direct staff to provide Council with an update to the Development Charges Bylaw, along with any recommended adjustments to the November 3rd, 2016 Background Development Charges Study, based on the above noted discussions no later than July 1st, 2017.
Thank you. And may I ask CEO if you could just comment once again, I know you did this last week, but just on the incremental change that's in place?
Yes, Mr. Chair. What the consultant did was index to 2017 charges from that would reflect the existing rates plus the indexing. So they're slightly higher than the existing rates based on that indexing but they're in line with the rates that were previously in the bylaw.
Any further discussion, members of council? Hearing none, all those in favor? Against? Carried. We're now moving to, in the agenda, Parks and Recreation Services, and this portfolio does belong to Councillor Darling. So we'll ask Mr. Davey if you can start, and then we'll have Councillor Darling follow.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, under Parks and Recreation Services, there's one motion from the Committee of the Whole regard to award a request for proposal for the Urban Forestry Master Plan to Kilgore and Associates Limited.
Councillor Darling?
Yes, Deputy Mayor. This motion moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Rowden. Whereas the Committee of Whole has considered a memo from the Manager of Parks and the Town Arborist regarding the awarding of a request for proposal for the Urban Forestry Master Plan for the Town of Cobourg. Now therefore be it resolved that Council award the request for proposal CO-16-16 for the Urban Forestry Master Plan to Kilgore and Associates Limited in the amount of $34,980, HST excluded, to be funded from the approved 2016 Parks and Recreation capital budget, with the additional $4,980 to be used from the approved forest inventory program of the Forestry Services Parks operating budget.
Thank you. Discussion. And Councillor Rowden, back to you.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, and I just wondered if consideration was taken with regards to this letter that was sent to us this past week. And I wonder if there's an explanation in regards to, is there any professional people within house that we can do this?
Well, I'll certainly defer in a moment to Councillor Darling, but I can only tell you, just received the letter, as you can see, of January 9th or 8th. Came in just, we just reviewed it today, so I know that we have not had a long time with this letter. I do want to thank the citizen for submitting it, but I'll defer at this point to Councillor Darling and any comments he may have from Director Huswick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, the letter received from Mr. Hallett was dated January 7th, and like I said, we just received it. The condensed version of it is for Mr. Hallett is that we're hiring a consultant again to do work that he feels our parks manager and our forestry person, Mr. Quigley, could do. But emailed with Director Hustwick, informed him of it. He did receive a copy of this letter. And he's sent me a few notes because he couldn't be here tonight, which I would like to read to Council. It says the Town of Cobourg Urban Forest. Cobourg has more than 255 kilometers of right-of-ways, 79 hectares or 195 acres of parkland and additional open spaces area. We have already established an inventory with more than 6,500 trees tagged and included in our GIS database, with more being added all the time. In regard to our Recreation and Culture Division, the new division, with its enhanced responsibilities and new strategic priorities, has a new staff complement of one, the Director. He has many responsibilities and projects currently underway, including the establishment of the new division itself and the leadership of the various departments and staff to achieve these new objectives. And under the Urban Forestry section within the Parks Department, has a grand total of one staff person. This person is responsible for the protection and management of the town's entire tree inventory. These responsibilities include responding to service requests for assessments and maintenance, developing work schedules for tree pruning, remediation, and removal, which has increased the workload with the evolving threat to ash trees, including the ember ash borer that has moved into this area. There's new tree planting and replacement, infilling planting, looking after donation trees that are donated, volunteer tree planting projects, and development review related to the Tree Protection Bylaw 2006 and enforcement. These day-to-day operational requirements prevent this single staff person from dedicating months of work to develop a master plan on his own. The purpose of the Urban Forestry Master Plan is to ensure that the tree canopy throughout the community not only stays healthy and vibrant, but also increases in manageable, affordable manner. For $35,000, less than the cost of hiring an additional staff person for just 6 months, we will have a team of expert urban forestry planners working on our behalf in an efficient and effective manner. They will develop a plan that aligns with our official plan our urban and landscape design guidelines, and our parks master plan, as well as industry best practices for management and operations. He deems this smart and healthy planning for our community and effective use of tax dollars.
Okay,
And that's
thank you
from
for
Director
reading that.
Hustwick.
Councillor Round, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Darling, and I agree with you 100% that to hire someone, we'd have to put in probably more than $35,000 to get someone to go ahead with this. So, and I know that Mr. Quigley does a fantastic job in this town and looks after our trees, so I think that's the proper thing to explain to this individual that we're not just hiring a consultant again for nothing that's not necessary.
Any other questions, members of council? Councillor Darling?
Yes, just to further elaborate on that, I have did some research myself in regard to some other communities that have this, and the value of trees. And on Mr. Draper's reports, there were several comments in regard to the same initiative of us hiring the urban landscape planners and forestry planners, I should say. And Mr. Keeler made an excellent report there in the value of trees and how they are so important to our environment, and the fact that there is a dollar figure even put to the value of each tree in a community. So if anyone would care to see Mr. Draper's blog on that, it also contains a lot of good information. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Councillor McCarthy?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'd like to comment about the common assumption that hiring consultants means our staff aren't doing their job, and we as councillors are giving up our mandate to outsiders. The reality is that our staff are at capacity in all the departments, and when we want to further our understanding and planning to go forward, the reason and I would say that staff might even be interested, intellectually curious, the creative experience, but they, just as was described by Director Hustwick, they are completely at capacity with the day-to-day operations. And that, in a sense, is good management, because it means we are using our staff fully, and they are applying their professional skills fully to run the town. So when we go for master plans, hiring a consultant is really the only way that we can move forward with a plan that carries us through the next few years. And the good news is that our staff are able to implement those plans because they have the skills and ability to do so. So in a sense, I just get very tired of the community backlash that here we go hiring consultants. And I just wanted to state publicly, I do think it's good value. Thank you.
And if I could add just a comment of my own, I try to follow municipalities that show exemplary service within their municipalities. And I must say, in the urban master plan, there are three communities that come to mind: London, Ontario, City of Mississauga, in Victoria, BC, and they've all followed a very similar plan for their municipalities. And when I spoke with different individuals in those municipalities, they've indicated strongly that once they have this planning and helpful planning in place, it actually forms almost a strat plan or a strategic plan for that division, in this case within Parks and Recreation and Culture Division. And it actually leads to a good 10 or 12 years of wonderful planning based on recommendations. So I believe we're now trying to emulate perhaps what other municipalities are doing ahead of us, and to me it makes good business sense because it gives Mr. Hustwick and others within the division a map to follow, a direction, which I feel is critically important, especially when we're using taxpayers' money. And I'll just use one example. We were fighting last year the elm disease and tree. Well, the bill for that alone was $50,000. that's not chump change. So to me, when we're talking trees, it's really important we get it right as we move forward. So I'm very supportive of our staff, and I'm very supportive of this decision, and I'm hoping and trusting at the end of the day that we can join other municipalities, the ones I just named and others. I just think it's good management. So again, I think we've had discussion from every member of council. I'm going to call those all in favor, against, carried. And at this point, we're going in our agenda back to Planning and Development Services. First, I'll call on Mr. Davey, and then again, it will be followed again tonight by Councillor Darling.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, under Planning and Development Services, we have two motions. The first motion is from the Committee of the Whole to grant a heritage permit for construction of a new porch and porch roof at 99-101 Albert Street, Coburg.
And Councillor Darling?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, this motion is moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rowden. Whereas the Committee of Whole has considered a memo from the Secretary of Coburg Heritage Advisory Committee regarding a heritage permit application for construction of a new porch and roof for property located at 99-101 Albert Street, Coburg, Campbell. Now therefore be it resolved that Council endorse the recommendation of the Coburg Heritage Advisory Committee and grant a heritage permit number HP 2016-059 for construction of a new porch roof at 99-101 Albert Street, Coburg, subject to the following conditions. A, that the porch be painted in a color consistent with the Town of Coburg's heritage color palette, and B, that the design relates generally to the plans submitted, subject to the finalization of details with planning staff with regard to roof design and heritage features.
And I believe we had a healthy discussion last week, but I'll entertain any discussion tonight. Any discussion from members of council? Hearing none, I'll call all those in favor. Against, carried. And Mr. Davey, we're on to number 2.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, the second motion is from the Committee of the Whole to appoint a member to the Planning and Sustainability Advisory Committee.
Councillor Darling?
Yes, this motion moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McCarthy, pardon me. Whereas the Committee of the Whole considered applications to fill a vacant position on the Planning and Sustainability Advisory Committee, now therefore be it resolved that Council appoint Ken Peterson as member of the Planning and Sustainability Advisory Committee.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call all those in favor. Against, carried. We're now moving in our agenda, if you're following along, to reading of bylaw and bylaw proceedings. Again, we're starting with General Government Services. And Councillor Darling, we'll start with you.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, we have a bylaw to authorize borrowing from time to time to meet current expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 2017.
Sorry, Councillor Darling, can I direct you to that sheet, perhaps? The bylaw sheet? That will start us off.
Sorry. Yes, Your Worship. Members of Council, there are two bylaws for presentation, namely. And so would you like me to read that again, sir? Three? Oh, sorry, 3. Pardon me. 3 bylaws for presentation. Yeah. And the first bylaw to authorize borrowing from time to time to meet current expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 2017. Secondly, a bylaw to authorize an interim tax levy and to provide for collection of taxes and penalty and interest charges. And a third bylaw to authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute an agreement with the federal government for the loan of a chair used by the first Speaker of the House of Commons, Mr. James Coburn.
And can I have a seconder? Councillor McCarthy? All those in favor? Carried. Councillor Darling?
Okay. Your Worship, I move that Council go into the Committee of the Whole for a second reading of these bylaws.
Seconder? Councillor Rowden? All those in favor? Carried. Councillor Darling?
For bylaw to authorize borrowing from time to time to meet current expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 2017. Second, a bylaw to authorize an interim tax levy and to provide for the collection.
Sorry, Councillor Darling, I'm going to interrupt you in second reading just in case we have any further discussion.
Oh, yes.
Just make
okay.
sure I don't miss that
Okay.
point. So if we could just do second reading for discussion.
Okay. That's, I move the first one for second reading.
Any discussion? Councillor Round?
Just a quick explanation on that, if I'm thinking this right. That's only if we need to borrow, and I understand that through the past years we haven't had to borrow. Is that a fact?
This is Councillor Round. We do this every year about the same time, but I'll allow Mr. Davies, since he's our financial director, to comment further.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, through you to Councillor Rowden, that's correct. What this does is it allows us to, it authorizes us to have basically a line of credit of up to $6 million with our bank. In the event that we need to use any portion of that during the first part of the year until tax bills are issued and money collected. In recent years, we have not had to use that, but we need to have it available in the event that we do.
And again, Councillor Round, this is something we've done, I think, past 6 years in a row, just as a legislative safeguard.
I think that it's good that the public know that, because they're asking lots of questions out there about why are you borrowing money and.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, Councillor Darling, back to you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Second is a bylaw to authorize an interim tax levy and to provide for the collection of taxes and penalty and interest charges. I move for second reading.
Any discussion on this? Hearing none. Councillor Darling?
All in favor of that? Okay.
No.
No. Thirdly, a bylaw to authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute an agreement with the federal government for the loan of the chair used by First Speaker of the House of Commons, Mr. James Coburn. I move for second reading.
Any discussion on this? I know we had a very informal one last week. Councillor McCarthy?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just because there may be people tuning into this who didn't hear it last week, would you mind explaining how long the chair possibly might reside in the community?
Yes, it's my understanding once the agreement is signed, once arrangements are made, we're hoping, if all works well, that we can possibly get it here for February, which would meet February 13th, which is actually James Colburn's birthday. It would stay with the town of Goldberg until sometime late August, September. It would meet all the special celebrations we do with James Colburn as part of the 150-year celebration, as well as James Colburn's special weekend in August. And at sometime in September, the curator of the House of Commons will call for the return of that chair. We noted that we were very pleased to get it for that length of time. It's my understanding that we're the first community or municipality in Ontario to have ever received this chair other than the original family. So it's a homecoming, certainly, to the town of Coburg. Councillor Darling?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, I move that the committee rise.
All those in favor? Carried.
Deputy Mayor, we have bylaws. A bylaw to authorize borrowing from time to time to meet current expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 2017. Bylaw to authorize an interim tax levy and to provide the collection of taxes and penalty and interest charges. Bylaw to authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute an agreement with the federal government for the loan of the chair used by the First Speaker of the House of Commons, James Coburn. These bylaws have received first and second readings without amendment, and I move for third reading of these bylaws and that they be finally passed and ordered signed by the mayor and municipal clerk with the corporate seal affixed.
Thank you. All those in favor? Pardon me? Seconder first, sorry. Councillor McCarthy. All those in favor? Carried. That brings us, there are no petitions, correspondence, so it brings us in our agenda down to council coordinator announcements. And Mayor Brockenier is not here tonight, and so we'll go directly to Deputy Mayor Henderson. So I'd like to give an update, if I may. What is of interest, certainly, to everyone is the Town of Cobourg draft budget. The goal of this draft budget is to have it released to the community on Monday, January the 16th. The Tuesday, I believe it's Tuesday, January 24th, is the special council session that will be held here in council chambers starting at 9:30 that morning. And we will, in fact, deal with the entire budget, both operating, capital, and municipal grants on that particular day. The goal, we're hoping, if council is in agreement, that the budget would then go back to council on January the 30th as part of our regular council session, and that this council would pass this budget. So that is the approximate timeline at this point based on the process. The other one of strong interest to the public is regarding, as you know, we had Councillor Sherwin, who was Coordinator of Protection Services. Council, with regret, accepted his resignation. As a result, we have a council vacancy. By January 18th, anybody, a citizen who's interested and meets the Elections Act criteria or qualifications, will make a declaration of qualification to our town clerk by January the 18th. The clerk, having that information and having verified that information, will make a list of candidates on January the 20th. And at that time, the list of candidates, the procedures, the agenda will be released at the same time to the public and at the same time to council. On January 23rd, starting at 4 p.m., and I want to say that twice, 4 p.m. because normally we start at 7. On that particular day, you will see that there is a procedure in place that we will follow precisely, and at that point we'll follow the procedures and format that are outlined for you in that agenda specifically and in order. And the hope is at the end of that session, this council will appoint or select a new councillor coordinator to join us on the Town of Cobourg. That person will be sworn in on January the 30th as part of our council session, and that person will officially start on January the 30th. As part of that, we'd like to announce the date to you in advance. Council strategic planning session is upcoming. We indicated at the midterm, at the 2-year point, we would review our strategic plan. The date has been set for February the 8th in these council chambers starting at 8:30 in the morning. It will be a full day, and it certainly is our goal to review where we are in that process. The other piece of information is that I won't steal the thunder because I know today that Council McCarthy had an exciting afternoon related to the Victoria Square Phase 4 project. And lastly, to make it known, this council asked for many reviews, and one of the reviews we've asked for that will be coming back to this council is with regard to bylaw enforcement services. We've asked to have a look at how do we service and how do we enforce and how do we do business in the Town of Cobourg. And we've asked for a very in-depth and thorough report, and I'm pleased to say that report has been completed, and the hope is it will be coming to council on the next committee of the whole for council's discussion. That is my report, and are there any questions? Otherwise, I will proceed to the next coordinator. Hearing none, then we'll go to Councillor Darling.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Henderson. First of all, I'd like to take this time to wish the citizens of Cobourg a very happy and healthy new year in 2017. It looks like it's going to be a very good year for the town, and we're looking forward to it. On a recreational note, I was able to attend the mayor's skating party at the CCC on December 29th. It was very well attended, and prior to the game, Port Hope Panthers played a hockey game here in town, and the Cobourg Cougars played a hockey game. The Cobourg Cougars come out of the game 3-2 in overtime, and it was a very exciting game. And then most of the team come out and joined us for the mayor's skate. And speaking with a few, they really didn't want to be there after playing 3 periods of hockey in an overtime period and giving it their all. But they were good citizens and come out and joined a lot of the kids and made it a very enjoyable evening. And talking about skating, it's nice to see that our outdoor rink is being well used. There's a lot of people out there who aren't really afraid of the cold, and even in the extreme temperatures are still enjoying the rink. And along with the parks, we have the RFP for the waterfront user needs assessment and design has closed, and a consultant will be selected very shortly, allowing this exciting project to move forward. The Cobourg Community Center, the food and beverage improvements to the CCC are well underway, and we're hoping that all the renovations will be completed in time for the curling championships at the end of the month. And again, just a reminder that their great seats are still available for the Ontario's Men's and Women's Curling Championship, January 29th to February 5th. So we're asking that people please come out and support this event that so many people have worked so hard to organize. It's also a great entertainment and a world-class competition in our town. And we have the over 55 games again, February 21st to 23rd. I've been advised that I think they said the other day they have over 600 scarves have been knitted for that event. So I'm sure they're still looking for more. The RBC Cup is fast approaching, May 13th to the 21st, 2017. Tickets are now on sale online and at the CCC. And looking forward to the warmer weather, the Canadian National Fastball Under-16 event will be held at Legion Fields the summer of 2017. And we're still looking for volunteers for all those events. And that is my report.
Any questions of Councillor Darling? Hearing none, I'll go to Councillor Rowden.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and I do have tickets for both of those events, the curling and the RBC Cup, so I'm hoping to see some exciting things happen at the CC Center. First of all, I'd like to welcome our new Deputy Director at the Public Works Building, which is Laurie Willis, I believe her name is, and she's fitting in very well. I think we kind of figured we'd have a new office for her when she moved in, but she's having a little taste of the old office first. So, and Public Works, of course, are moving into Building 7 just kind of slowly because we have to really move in completely until the telephone and internet's all installed. So it probably happen next week, I believe. Our director was hoping that we would be able to get in there completely. Northumberland Safe Communities, I'm a co-chair on that committee and had to take a back seat there last year because of some family problems. And I understand that this year that they're not going to go ahead with the big expo that we had last year, but this year we're going to do special events in each municipality in the 7 municipalities in the county of Northumberland. So something to look forward to. It'll be announced on the website next month when the lead table make a decision on that. So, and Deputy Mayor, that's all I have to report tonight.
And Councillor Round, is it time yet to make an announcement about the GRCA dinner? Because I know is it too early?
It's always the second Saturday in April. And the first committee meeting, I believe, is being held this next week. I'm not, of course, I'm not on the committee completely anymore. I'm just the chair of the Kansas. So, and it'll be another big event as usual.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Councillor Rowden? Hearing none, Councillor McCarthy.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I had the opportunity to be interviewed on a radio program for a full hour about Canada 150 with Rob Washburn, whom many of you know, and he has a show with Hometown Radio 89.7, and Rob is very knowledgeable about our James Coburn. I don't think I'm spilling the beans. I think it's already out there, but a new play's being written, which we'll look forward to. But why I'm mentioning this now is there's a sense that things will happen in Coburg, and we know there's signature events. They will all have the Canada 150 theme this year. But what I wanted to point out to the public was keep your eyes and ears open all the time for what may be happening. For example, and I'll just start, and it's a way I'll weave in my report, the Ontario Winter Games, which is a signature event, bringing many, up to 1,000 participants. We're still knitting, because each participant is getting a handmade scarf with the same colors but different patterns, and that is this Saturday. And if you're interested, show up. There will be yarn, there will be needles, and it'll be very convivial. I know I'm going. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And just so you know, the Ontario Winter Games are 43 days away, and who's counting? The Art Gallery of Northumberland, the exhibition, the juried exhibition continues till next Sunday. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, make a point to go up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this week. The grand prize winner, and it's a remarkable piece of art, is a local artist and art teacher, Hilda Van Netten. And she is actually giving a presentation next Sunday afternoon about her artwork. It's multimedia and contains buttons, and yet from a distance you wouldn't know they were buttons because of the way it's brought together. And she's also hosting a workshop on how to use your right brain for making art. And so if you're interested in that, contact the Art Gallery of Northumberland. But I do want to tell you, because this will happen before we meet again on January 30th, this is a real Canada 150 moment and Coburg 2017 moment. Thursday, January 19th at 6 p.m., the next exhibition at the Art Gallery opens. And it's called 8 Indigenous and 8 Non-Indigenous Artists' Quest for Truth and Reconciliation. And I think that's one of the key storylines of this celebration. When we have a sesquicentennial, it causes us to look back. And as we know, for our First Nations neighbors, that story is not a happy one. And yet here there is this partnership for an exhibition where 16 artists will present their process of working through reconciliation. But the wonderful aspect of this opening night, and why I would encourage many in the town of Coburg to attend, it does start earlier. It's a Thursday at 6 p.m. because Chief Bob Marsden will be opening it. There will be a drum song and a social dance and a blessing from an elder from Alderville, and also Indigenous food, First Nations food. As well, each artist will explain their reconciliation process. So there you go, January 19th, 2017, and we're already telling our national story right here in Coburg. The Deputy Mayor alluded to my exciting day today, which was the shortlisted artists for the public art project that will be developed in the Victoria Square pending funding. Now, what was marvelous about this, last fall, 22 artists sent through expressions of interest. 4 artists were invited to prepare, they're called maquettes, but they're small renditions of the art. and their understanding, they were provided all the information that the committee, the Victoria Square Face Committee, could give them about possible locations. And it was really exciting. The 4 artists came through today, one after the other, and the jurors who had been selected last fall came together. I will only say this much. There was a unanimous agreement on the first choice. But there's a few hoops to go through before that gets announced. But yeah, I had a great day, and they all showed up during a snowstorm. And finally, let's not forget the library. All I'm going to say to the public is, because there is something going on there right now, every day. And in terms of Canada 150, there are 150 adult colored drawings. Go have fun. Go look at it. Go color. But the thing about the library is that they're very web-based, and if you go to their website, they have something going on every day. They have so many databases, so many newsletters. So in the middle of winter, there's a lot you can do. And I know I've forgotten something, but that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions of Councillor McCarthy? Hearing none, that brings us to our unfinished business. And I just want to make a comment. Some citizens were questioning, how do we track unfinished business? And we indicated that we thought we do it really well. I just want to be clear, it's not a regulatory item that we have to do. There's nothing in regulation indicates we have to do unfinished business. But it is there as a guideline, certainly for both staff and for council. So I just want to note that we've already noted development charges review. It's already on because of the July 1st proposed meeting of that deadline. With that being said, Mr. Davey, is there anything else from your end?
No, Deputy Mayor, the next item would be a closed session this evening.
And back to you, Councillor Darling.
And move that under what's section 239 here? Yes. Move that council go into closed session in accordance with section 239 of the Municipal Act, SL 2001, regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. The one is accessibility advisory committee applications.
Thank you. Just for information, we will be coming out very shortly to make that action or that recommendation. CO, can I get direction from you? Is this good time to allow the press just a few moments in case they don't want to stay around for the announcement, or just
yes,
a
that
suggestion?
that is the normal course of action.
Okay, so we'll allow the press, if they have any questions of councillors, just a few moments, and then that will allow us to go in the back room and then come out and do an adjournment. So I need a seconder for that first. Councillor McCarthy. Thank you, CAO. All those in favor? Carried.